To get a cheap and affordable truck, Ramesh Mistry invested all his savings to buy a 50-year-old truck declared as scrap. His intention was to completely refurbish it and re-enter the freight business to change his fortune. However, the truck was in extremely poor condition. It had become so dilapidated that even the previous owner was no longer traceable. But for the new owner, the biggest factor was its low price. Since the vehicle was rusted all over, it was not possible to repair it directly. It was decided to dismantle the entire truck piece by piece, set aside the usable parts, and then build a new truck using them. Ramesh Mistry first took a gas cutter and tackled those stubborn bolts that had become part of the chassis after years of rust. But in front of the intense flame, they gave way easily, and all the bolts came out effortlessly. For Ramesh Mistry, this was everyday work. Years of experience had taught them a very fast and effective way to dismantle the truck. As soon as the cutting was complete, the truck bed was removed first, and the entire chassis was exposed. But time had not spared the iron either. This old frame was no longer fit for reuse, so it was also cut into pieces. The main goal was to save only two parts, the front axle and the rear axle. These were the most valuable things of this old truck. The remaining iron was eventually to be melted in a furnace to make steel. After this, the part under the driver's cabin was also opened. Those who looked carefully might have already noticed that the engine of this truck was missing. It is likely that it had already been installed in another truck. After this, the entire cabin was also removed, and all the remaining parts were sorted into different categories. Even though this was not a large factory, the machines and tools present here were no less than those in a modern workshop. Every necessary tool was available here. When the entire chassis was lifted by the crane, only the front and rear axles remained on the ground. These were the parts for which Ramesh the mechanic had bought the entire truck. It was said to be the repair of an old truck, but in reality, it was like building a completely new truck using old parts, because very few usable things were left from the old truck. Now it was time to prepare the new main chassis beams. Ramesh Mistry chose a steel plate that was about 1 centimeter thick and extremely strong. First, with the help of a hydraulic press, the steel plates were bent into the desired shape. After that, they were cut to precise measurements to prepare two strong main beams. To make the entire structure stronger, several steel plates were layered on top of each other, making both main beams extremely strong. Now, the work of assembling the truck frame began. The first cross member was attached to the main beam according to the design and temporarily fixed by welding. Then holes were made at each joint so that rivets could be added later. After the holes were made, rivets were inserted. They were heated red hot with fire and then hammered with a large hammer to make them permanently strong. After this, the new leaf spring was attached to the frame. This time, the leaf spring used was completely new. With the help of a jack, it was lifted to the right place and securely attached with a pin. The engine was also a second-hand engine taken from another truck. Ramesh the mechanic was accustomed to such makeshift work, where good parts from one vehicle were used to give another vehicle a new life. The driver's cabin was also prepared by repairing different second-hand panels. By looking at the entire workshop, it was clear that the machines and technology here were quite good. Now the front axle was installed. It was also among the few useful parts salvaged from the old truck. After this, the rear axle was installed. The leaf springs at the back and steer support were made even stronger than before. It was clearly visible that Ramesh Mistry was preparing this truck to carry very heavy loads. His principle was clear. It's okay if the weight increases, but the structure should never break. Where factory-made trucks have light and comfortable suspension, Ramesh Mistry's thinking was completely different. No matter how heavy a load the truck carries, its main frame should remain completely strong. Meanwhile, all other parts were also being assembled together. The entire work was done with both speed and strength in mind. After raising the frame, the rear axle and leaf springs were securely fastened with the help of U-bolts. Now the entire truck was almost ready. Finally, all 8 tires were put in place, and the assembly of this powerful truck was completed. Now tell me, will this heavy-duty 100-ton king be able to withstand the challenge of carrying the heaviest loads daily?